Now we will learn about congruent angles. Before we start with the problems, we will go through few of the theorems. Over here, we have few properties of angle of congruency. So this is measure of angle 1, 2, and 3. These are three separate angles. The reflexive property of congruence says if you have this angle, this is equal to itself. So this is not a big deal. If it's 30 degrees, 30 is equal to 30. That's what it means. This is equal to itself or congruent to itself. Now, symmetric property of congruence says if you have this and this equal, say 1 and 2 are equal, then you can also write 2 and 1 is equal. You can write the other way around. 2 and 1 is also equal. And the last one, transitive, which is very important. Generally, this is a crucial one. So it says if 1 and 2 are equal, and then let me change the color, 2 and 3 are also equal. Then what does it say about the rest? This says 1 and 2 are equal, 2 and 3 are equal. This says that 1 and 3 must be equal, because if this and this is equal, so whatever this is, say 20 degrees. Now this is also 20 degrees. And this is equal, so this also will be 20 degrees, so these must be equal. This is the transitive property. Now the congruent angles for congruent supplements theorem, this is important. Now imagine you have these three angles and the measure of angle 1 plus 2 gives you 180 degree, and you also know that measure of angle 2 and 3 gives you 180 degree. Then this first angle and the third angle will always be equal or congruent. So now imagine this is 40 and this is the remaining angle of 140. Okay, so it's 180. Okay, this is not true to the figure because angle 1 must be bigger. Okay, let me change it and let me make it. This looks around 120 and this looks around 60 degrees. Now it's more accurate. So now this adds up to 180, and they have told 2 and 3 also will make 180. So now 180 minus 60 will give you 120, isn't it? So this has to be equal with 1, because over here 1 and 2, these will not be the same. This will be, it can be same, but you can see that whatever how do we find 3? It will be 180 minus 60, so whatever, these both will be the same thing. So this is the thing about angles supplementary to the same angle or congruent angles are congruent. This is what it means. Now these are abbreviation. Instead of reading all this, you can see this angle symbol and S means supplementary to same, or this is, you can just read it like angles congruent supplement to same are congruent. That is what it means, Now you can see this much is all this, it's just the short form, but anyways, if you understand what it means is more than enough. This is fine. Now over here, same thing, whatever we just now learned, it can be implemented to complements as well. So now if you have this measure of 4 and 5 to be 90 degree, when you add them, see, it's given. So now let's say this is 30 and this is 60. Now they have also told 5 and 6 is also 90 degrees. So if this is 60, what is this? It has to be equal to 4, that is 30. So 4 and 6 will be equal, same like the previous one. Now it says angles complementary to the same angle or to congruent angles are congruent. So this is the thing. And now the last one, vertical angles theorem. Now we have come across this before already. Now remember, to have vertical angles, these must be straight lines. If they are not straight, if they are something like this, no, you can't have vertical angles then. This is not vertical. It must be straight lines. 1, 2, 3, 4 angles are known. So whichever are opposite to each other, 1 and 3 over here and 2 and 4 are congruent. So remember, opposite to each other. And over here, in this case, 2 and 4 as well. So that is about vertical angles. Sorry, if two angles are vertical angles, then they are congruent. Okay. Now let us solve a couple of problems. Over here we have a figure given to us. Angle ABE and DBC are right angles. We need to prove that ABD and EBC are congruent. Now remember, they have asked us to prove. We need to make this generally will be a writing question. So now what we have to do is, first we'll just analyze the figure, understand what is given to us, and then proof is always by making two columns. So let's make a column over here with statement and the reasoning behind it. Let's write the first statement, whatever is given to us. What is given? ABE and DBC are right angles. That is even in the figure, ABE and DBC. Okay, that's given. What about the next thing? If they are right angles, that means measure of ABC is equal to 90 degree and measure of DBC is also 90 degree. That is the definition of right angles. Then we can see over here, look carefully at the first one. Then ABD and DBE will be what? It will be complementary, isn't it? So this and this will be complementary. And it's not over. We have one more, that is DBC. So DBE and EBC will be complementary. Now you can realize we have this DBE overlapping. So if this is 1, 2, then this is 2, 3. These 1 and 3 must be equal, isn't it? So congruent complements theorem stated that just a while ago we saw that. You can pause and rewind the video. It stated that what? This and this will be equal. So from congruence, this is from complement theorem, but from congruent complements theorem, we can state ABD and EBC are congruent. So this is the proof. First was given, then what is given? It's about 90 degrees. So we are just writing the definition of right angles, and then we are telling about complement theorem. That means if we know this is 90 degree, then whatever angles are in between them will be complementary. And then from congruent complements theorem, we can say if at all the same angle is overlapping, then the remaining other two angles will be congruent. This sign is congruency. So that means ABD and EBC are the same. Similarly, try this vertical angles problem. It is also to prove, so therefore you must make a table and two columns, statement and reason. I would highly encourage you all to pause the video and try this. I hope you have at least tried a little bit. Now at least the given and few lines, you can have tried. Now let's see then. First thing, we have to analyze whatever is given. So we have to prove 3 and 4. We know 1 and 2 is equal. Now, make the two columns, statement and reason. Over here, the first one, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. That is given. What are the next things? We know 1 and 3. See, 3 and 4, it's what we have to prove. That we'll prove in a while. But because these are vertical angles, we know 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 are congruent. That is from vertical angles theorem. Okay, so what next? 3 and 1 are congruent because vertical angle, right? And now this is what we have written as symmetrical, because over here 1 and 3 was written. Now we just swap them. 3 and 1, this is symmetrical property. Okay, now look over here. We are just writing this 1 is congruent to 2, right? So we will write this by transitive property. Now what it means is, see, 1 is congruent to 2, 3 is congruent to 2, 1. So that means these both must be congruent, 3 and 2. Or else you can also think of this as replacing. Instead of 1, I'll write 2 over here. Okay, because they're congruent. Congruency means same. So now we have got congruent, angle 3 congruent to 2. Now look at this again, vertical angles theorem. We already stated 2 is congruent to 4. So 3 will be congruent. Instead of 2, write 4. Again, we are using the transitive property. So the only thing is, write the vertical angles, then it is just symmetrical or transitive property. Sorry. It is either, after writing the vertical angles, it is either symmetry or transitive. So this is the way we can prove the angles. So remember, whenever it is a proving problem, please make this two columns and then write. First start with the given and then look at the figure and analyze which is the property that is most suitable. Over here, it's not about complement. Over here, it's about vertical angles. So use vertical angles, and then from symmetry and transitive, we can easily prove this.